Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Arrow. So in this in this episode of Arrow, we have the return of Cupid. They kept saying her real name, is it Cutter? I don't know. I'm just going to call her Cupid. We have the return of Cupid. Still crazy. I mean, actually, even more so. The whole thing at the beginning where she killed that couple and then basically took their bodies and made them form a heart. Now it's pretty twisted. Basically, the big theme of this episode is love is dead. It's supposed to it's reflecting how Oliver and Felicity are no longer a couple, which is kind of a shame. It's a little weird because at the beginning, Felicity acts like it's kind of nothing because she's up there, packing up her stuff. Oliver's like, I'll just get a mover to get it. She's like, no, don't worry about it. It's like kind of just acting casual about the whole situation. And you can see it's a little weird and awkward. There's those moments like they just pause and just like, okay, this is weird. The team ends up finding out too. It's like, I don't know, man. I almost feel like Felicity was a little mean and critical to Oliver at certain points in the episode, especially when they ended up he ends up somewhat quote unquote catching, Cupid, but she ends up getting away. It's like you're a little bit of mean, Felicity, but I guess it's she's kind of fed up with all his keeping stuff from her, which is I guess the reason why I'm sympathetic towards Oliver is because I'm not the biggest person who opens up. I keep a lot of stuff bottled up, but then again, he kept a huge secret from her. The fact is that he has a son. Granted, he should have told her. We all know that, but still, like I said, I don't know why he didn't tell her. I tried to rationalize why he didn't tell her, but it's I don't know. Maybe it's because we just storyline wise we need conflict. I don't know. But he should have told her, and that's what this whole thing is about. She even brings it up in the episode. She's like how Oliver is so used to kind of doing things alone. That he survived on that island, not really alone, but, he always counted only on himself. And then, he came back, to simply, complete his mission alone. He never ever thought about, having a team. He simply wanted to do everything alone. So she's like, he kind of still has that, in her eyes, he still has that mentality. And that's why he didn't tell her, about his son. She says he wants to change, but he's kind of stuck being the person he became on that island. Which is you gotta give him a little credit. He has changed a little bit. Let's notice the fact is he's not killing people anymore. Remember when he first came off the island, and he was dealing with bad guys in the city, he straight out killed them. But since then, since season 1, he hasn't killed anyone on purpose. But I guess that's a different thing because this is more of an emotional issue, not that's more of a moral issue. I guess this is this is kind of a moral issue, but I feel more so it's an emotional issue. Whatever the case may be. Basically to capture Cupid, because Cupid's basically killing all these different couples newlyweds. And she's pissed about it. She's killing newlyweds, particularly newlyweds that are, kind of in the spotlight, who are getting a lot of attention. The reason why she's doing this apparently it's because she's upset because for her obviously quote unquote her lover, the vigilante / Arrow, is dead because she doesn't realize that Oliver / Green Arrow is the same person, but that's kind of the point. But she thinks he's dead, plus Floyd, Deadshot, died, which I was I totally forgot about that element. I was her and Deadshot had a thing, and I was oh yeah, because she was on that Lila and Diggle there too. It was the mission where Deadshot died. I was oh yeah, I almost completely forgot. She was there too, wasn't she? And she kind of had a thing for him. But it's because they're both dead. Both the men that she loved are dead, so she's love is dead. So basically, to draw her out, Oliver and Felicity kind of go through with their wedding, quote unquote. I say that a lot. I need to stop doing that. As a way of drawing her out. Felicity kind of doesn't take it seriously. She kind of is like, yeah, let's get this done. But Oliver says his vows, and it's kind of like, oh, that's sweet. Talking, like, basically bringing up, the first time they met, and it's like, oh, good times. And then, Felicity, says her own kind of vows, but she says them, like, to Cupid, to kind of get Cupid to stop doing what she's doing. And, and it kind of touched Oliver. He's like, okay, there's a chance. But like I said earlier, but Felicity said what she said about Oliver, still being who he became on the island. So, like, she's saying there's no way to fix this, which I don't believe that. I feel like given enough time, y'all can come back. Maybe y'all won't be who you became. Maybe you'll become something else and you'll be something better, I'm not willing to give up on this relationship. I mean, Oliver's not either, and I'm good, because I want Olicity to stay strong, which I like that, because they said that in the news report, Olicity. I thought that was very cute. But it's like, I want them to be a couple. I've said it before, Felicity makes him a better person. She's like, ugh, because I guess it's because personally I'm so in love with Felicity. She's smart, she's so beautiful, she's awkward. I love it. But things kind of sit where they are there. Another big part of the episode is, it's not really a trial, it's a hearing leading up to, trying to decide if there will be a trial against Damien Dark. Laurel is trying the case, and basically the hearing doesn't go well. Diggle went up on the stand, ended up kind of getting destroyed by Dark's lawyer. Basically, anyone that could testify against Dark is too scared to. And they have very little evidence. So Detective Lance decides, you know what? I'm going to go up there. And Laurel's like, are you crazy? Don't do that, because you're basically going to implicate yourself. And he's like, it doesn't matter. If I have to go down, if me going down means taking Dark down, that's all that matters. So he gets on the stand and admits the fact is that he was working for Dark the entire time, and all the things he did, and all the people that all the people that died because he did what he did for Dark. Because, he didn't know what Dark's initial plan was, that Dark was going kill all those city officials. He did it all for his daughter, because his daughter Laurel's life was being threatened by Dark. And even the judge was like, yeah, there's no the prosecutors haven't found any, have very thin evidence. But Detective Lance's testimony, the fact is that he's willing to incriminate himself, is proof enough, because no one would go out of their way to incriminate themselves unless it was true, and especially admitting to all he did. And they're like, yeah, we're going through with the trial. We're going to trial. So, Detective Lance loses his badge. He is being suspended, and IA is going to be investigating him. But he's like, in the end, he's like, it's worth it if it means taking down Dark. So that's a good man right there. It's like he knew it wasn't going to be all rainbows and roses for him, once it came out. But he's like I said, in the end, it's worth it if it means taking down someone bad like Dark. And then we had that moment where Dark is in that he's in his jail cell, and he's hid a ring inside his mouth, and then he puts it on his finger. I can only assume that ring is kind of like a totem/talisman, like the one he was drawing his powers from. I'm thinking it's the same thing, but it's a much smaller, compact version. And he's probably it's probably going to take a while. Maybe it's dead. Maybe he actually has some of his power to a smaller extent, or maybe he has none of it, and it kind of acts like it's going to charge. I don't know. I can only assume it's got to be connected to his powers, because why would you go through all that trouble just to bring that into a cell? I don't know. It has to be special in some regard. Because afterwards he had a smug look on him. I mean, that entire time during the testimony, he would look at Laurel as well as Oliver in the back, be just smiling, just smug, and I loved it. He's just you really thought you're going to take me down? But, you know, even inside that jail cell, now when you start putting on a ring, he's just looking still smug and smiling, and I love it. Neil McDonough, you're so amazing, dude. He's just a bad guy you love. He's one of those bad guys you love to hate. And also we had that flashback where Oliver and Ryder are in that cave. Him and that lady, I can't remember her name. The one that Oliver killed her brother. They're in some little room and there's a little statue head. Ryder kills this dude and like, I can only assume it's his soul being devoured by a statue because it leaves his body and it goes towards the statue. So don't know what that's all about. But Oliver and the lady grab the statue and run. So still confused about what that is. Maybe I just haven't been paying enough attention, or they really have not explained that at all. But I am trying to understand that. I do hate, like, it's like you never get enough of the flashbacks in an episode to me. It seems like you get less and less each time, but maybe that's just my imagination. Maybe you're getting the exact same amount you've always been getting. I feel like they're like a lot shorter now, but like I said, maybe just me. I am interested to see where things go from here in the whole dark situation, as well as this whole like Oliver and Felicity situation. I mean, like I said, I want them together. They need to be together. You know, but that's just me. But that's really all I want to talk about this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.